Hi, welcome to today's video. I'm at Three Shires Head and today we're going to do some landscape photography. Today's not ideal weather conditions. It's a little bit drizzly and it's a little bit grey and overcast, but I could get some nice clouds, so it's worth having a go and getting out even though the conditions are not completely favourable. You will have just seen my new introduction screen that says at the bottom, enjoy your photography. And I've put that on there purposely because that really sums up my outlook towards photography now. I am taking pictures for me. If other people like them, that's a bonus, but I did get into a situation where I was part of a camera club and I was taking pictures to please judges, and it got really stressful trying to make sure that the picture met certain rules. And now, when I've freed myself of all of that, I can actually just get out, enjoy being out in the open like I am today, and just take pictures just for the fun of it. And I encourage everybody else to do the same. It doesn't matter. If somebody doesn't like your picture, fine. If somebody does, even better. Don't get hung up on it because it's really not the end of the world. If you enjoy getting out there and then you enjoy the results that you get, that's all that matters. If this is your first time visiting the channel, then don't forget to click like, subscribe and the bell notifications to be informed of all of my future content. The location where I'm going to today is called Three Shires Head, and that's because it's at the point where the counties of Staffordshire, Cheshire and Derbyshire meet. And at this point there's two rivers that join and a little pack horse bridge that goes over the rivers and some lovely waterfalls, so it's really picturesque. It's about 10 more minutes down this track and overall probably about 20 minutes from where I parked the car in the lay-by up there, so I'll get on with the walk and get down to the location. I've been to this location quite a few times before, so I've got a fairly good idea of the lay of the land. But what I want to do today is try and be a little bit more careful with the pictures that I take. Rather than just taking 100, I want to think very carefully about the composition, think about whether I use focus stacking, think about whether I get the filters out, and just trying to get a really good shot rather than getting 100 shots where most of them are fairly mediocre. This path is really rocky, so I've got to be very careful with where I'm walking. Revisiting locations that you've been to before can really pay dividends. You can choose to go there when the lighting's a lot better. Clearly today I haven't chosen to come here because the light's good, but I've chosen to come here today because I'm familiar with the place. I don't need to scout around. I'll be straight into the photography and I can concentrate on that rather than finding a good scene. Ooh. I've arrived at the location and I'm going to use this spot to try and get some pictures here of the waterfalls and the bridge from a fairly high elevation so I don't get too much sky in. That's going to be my first goal. I have managed to time this really poorly. At the moment there's 3 lads having a bit of a swim down by the bridges, so I'm going to have to wait for a few minutes. It'll give me a chance to just have a little think, get the camera out, get it set up and prepare a shot while I'm waiting for them to move on. What a time to get here. Those 3 lads seem to be having a great time, but it doesn't help me with the photography. So again, it's down to patience. While I've been sitting here though, I have seen a grey wagtail moving about on the rocks down below on the river. So I've got the 200 lens out and I'm going to see if I can just catch that while I'm sitting waiting. Just when I thought I might get a clean shot, the lads are getting changed and getting dried off. Somebody's turned up in a wetsuit now and having a go, so he's going to be there for a while. And I think I've got another photographer over the other side of the river, so it's going to be really tricky to get a clean shot. So I've found a composition, I've got the camera set up. What I've had to do to hold back the sky is put in 3 stops of graduated filter in the front, because the sky is very bright and because I'm down in a valley, down here is quite dark. So to balance all of the exposure up, I needed those 3 stops of graduated filter. I've got the aperture set at f11, that's giving me a shutter speed of about 100th of a second, and I've got the ISO at 100 as well. What I want to do next is I want to try and take a picture of a waterfall but slow the shutter speed down, and this will make the water smooth out and become quite misty. It'll be quite a challenge because it's quite a bright day, so I'm going to pretty much have to put a filter on the front of the lens. I have got a 2-stop neutral density, but I don't think that'll be enough, so the big stopper might have to come out. I found a composition that I like. It's got the bridge and it's got a waterfall in the background, but it's also got a waterfall in the foreground cutting out through the corner of the image, so it's quite a pleasant composition. I put the big stopper on the front of the camera and that has stopped the shutter speed right down to a 15-second exposure, but it makes the water really drag out and makes it quite interesting. So I'll put that on the screen now. I do actually really like the effect that I got from this shot. I like the colour and I like the movement in the water, but what I thought I'd try and do is convert this to mono. So this is the mono version, and I quite like this too. I think it works just as well in mono, and it simplifies the shot and takes some of the distraction away from what the colour adds to the shot. Hope you can hear me okay over the water, but I've set up this shot here, and because the camera is on a very wide angle and I want to get this in focus and I want to get that in focus, what I've done is a 3-shot focus stack. Now if you're interested in focus stack and didn't see my last video, check that out after you've watched this, and it tells you all about how to do a focus stack. I'm pleased with how this shot has turned out. I like the way that the foreground interest almost points towards the waterfall and mirrors the angle of the path at the top that goes over the little bridge. I think that's very pleasing. So I like the composition. I did try this in mono, but I don't think this works quite as well as the previous image did in mono. I think I probably slightly overdid the mono conversion, which might be why I don't like it so much. I'm going to try and get one more shot before I leave this location. I've got the image in front of me now. It's set up, it's a wide angle shot that it's a bit of an establishing shot really of the whole scene. It's miserable weather gone. It started to rain, so I've got the umbrella up to keep the kit dry. So once I've finished here, I'll pack up, I'll put the waterproof on the camera bag, and I'll have a wander back to the car. But I'm going to try and get this shot now. I'll probably have to do a focus stack to make sure everything gets in focus, and I'll have to try probably to get some filters out to hold the sky back a bit. But the problem is now with it raining, they're just getting covered with water, so it might be a bit of a challenge. I might have to do an unfiltered one and sort it out later in Photoshop. So we'll see how we go. This is the image that I got with a graduated filter to hold back the sky. Now it is a focus stacked image, so there's 3 images here combined to get good focus all the way through from front to back. And I'm quite pleased with the way that this image has turned out. But then, because I was worried that I might get water on the filters on the front of the lens, I took this shot without any filters, and what I had to do is expose for the sky so I didn't blow out the sky, but that made the foreground very dark. Now because my D850 handles dynamic range really well, I was able to pull back a lot of detail from the foreground, and I actually think I prefer this shot better. I think it's richer and has got a better dynamic range. That might just be because I processed it differently in the computer, but I think that I prefer this image slightly more. The rain's set in now, and I think that's probably all the useful photography that we're going to get today. It's just gone very miserable. As soon as you come out from under the umbrella, then all of the lenses get wet, the filters get wet, and it's just not really practical. And so I'm going to call it a day. I think I might have a few good images. I'll have to see when I get them back into the computer, but we'll see when we get home. Don't forget to go and check out my other videos, especially the focus stacking if you are interested in how to do that. That'll be down below in the descriptions, and I'll put a card up above. Hope you've enjoyed that video. It's been a little bit different. It's been challenging conditions, but hopefully I've got some images that are okay, but it's still been an enjoyable day out. Thanks for watching. Please click like, subscribe and the bell notifications to be informed of all of my future content. But for now, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. I've got to watch where I'm walking. I'll break my neck. Rain on my glasses. Oh no, made it even worse. Join and make... Oh. I have got a I keep putting that in the frame.